These cute little card wallets are made with faux leather, and you'll need some tissue paper. They're super easy and they go through the sewing machine just one time. You can either cut these with a Cricut or you can cut them by hand. If you cut them with a Cricut, you will need to make sure that you save the middle part, which is the full rectangle piece, and cut out a piece of tissue paper that is the same size as that one. I do recommend using a heavy-duty sewing machine needle for these just because it handles the layers better. There's a lot of layers to sew here and they're kind of thick, so a heavy-duty sewing machine needle will be very helpful. Also, one thing you'll want to make sure is that you do not use sewing pins. Sewing pins will put holes in the faux leather and it will be visible. You will always see them. They're permanent. They don't go away. So just use something like Wonder Clips or what are they called? Clothespins? Yeah, something like that that's not going to damage it. You could even use like binder clips or something like that. So all that said, let's dive in and learn how to make these cute little card wallets. To assemble the card wallet, you're going to stack all 4 pieces of the material that you have on top of each other. You're going to start with the back piece face down, and then stack the middle piece of faux leather on top of it face up. After that, you're going to stack the front piece on top face up, and then the final piece will be the tissue paper on the very top. Once you have everything stacked, you'll want to make sure the sides and the bottom edges are even. Then you'll want to clip it all together. Make sure you're not using sewing pins here, remember that. Faux leather sews easier when you have a longer stitch length, so make sure you're using at least a stitch length of 3.5 or more, and the seam allowance is 1/4 inch. Go ahead and take your wallet stack and put it in the sewing machine. You're going to sew the right side down and leave about 1/4 inch at the very bottom. With your sewing machine needle still in the material, lift up your presser foot and turn your material. Once you have it rotated to sew the bottom, put your presser foot back down and then go ahead and sew across the bottom. Make sure you leave 1/4 inch at the very end that you don't sew. Once you've gotten to the end at the bottom, do the same thing. You're going to leave the sewing machine needle in your material and lift up your presser foot and turn your material to sew the last edge. Once your material is turned, you can put the presser foot back down and then you can go ahead and sew that last edge. Now that you've sewn the 3 edges, your tissue paper will be perforated from the seam. Go ahead and tear the tissue paper away from the material. You may have little pieces in the thread that you'll need to pull out with your fingernails or tweezers. Trim down any of the leftover threads from sewing. And now you're going to trim the sides and the bottom down to about 1/8 inch. Make sure to round the corners as you go. And that's what you'll have at the end. And now the card wallet is all finished. It's ready for use, gifting, or selling, whatever you plan to do with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.